Over the last 8 years, Oklahoma has cut education funding per student by more than any other state. Correspondent Roberto Ferdman went to find out how one school district is adjusting.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Aren't you supposed to be at school right now?
No. We get 3 days off.
But it's Friday.
We get 3 days off.
You get 3 days off?
Because of budget cuts.
Because of budget cuts? What do you mean?
Just the budget cuts. We don't even know why.
It's the second Friday of the school year, and a couple dozen kids are getting ready to watch Beauty and the Beast. There's no school today, or any Friday this year. Schools are closed to save money. The Noble School District is smack in the middle of Oklahoma. There are 2,900 kids going to school here, and this year, they're all only going to school 4 days a week.
The initial conversations were hard. Teachers have been reluctant. I mean, you're now forced to cover all the curriculum, all the testing that's required by the state in 4 days that you were 5.
Good afternoon.
Nathan Gray is the principal of 2 of Noble's elementary schools. It allows the district to save money on a second administrator.
Obviously, it's not what we wanted. It wasn't even something we were looking at. Basically, what happened is, I think December we got a funding cut, January we got one, February we got one, March we got one, and so it was basically an outcoming decision of, we're bleeding, how are we gonna make it stop? You have to survive, and this was our best way to survive.
Noble isn't the only district in Oklahoma that's trying out a 4-day school week. A third of all districts in the state are now operating on the same shortened schedule. So how did things get to this point? Oklahoma has had an underfunded education system for several decades now. Low income taxes and attractive tax breaks for businesses have limited the government's ability to spend money. For years, the state was able to make up for it with oil revenue. But now that oil prices are down, it's had to make some serious cuts. Schools all across Oklahoma are slashing the budget however they can. That means fewer teachers in classrooms, even as the number of students continues to rise, and administrators who pull double duty. The Noble District Superintendent now works bus duty when school lets out.
Whoa!
Can you imagine growing up going to school only 4 days a week?
No, I got enough trouble going 5 days a week. I can imagine only going 4 days a week.
And especially having Friday off, you know?
Right. Ideally, what would kids be doing on Friday now that they don't have school?
Playing video games.
That's what you would like for them to do?
No, that's what they are doing.
Yeah. Friday mornings now look a lot like Saturday mornings at the local diner.
A lot of people don't like change, and that scares them, but for our family, it has been amazing.
So even if there weren't funding problems, you would prefer a 4-day school week?
Absolutely.
I met a lot of families in Noble who like the shorter school week. Parents who can take care of their kids on Fridays tend to like the new schedule. Parents who can't afford to look after their children aren't so enthusiastic. Noble is poorer than most districts in Oklahoma, and daycare is expensive. There's only one subsidized daycare program, which is sponsored by the local YMCA. Older kids end up home alone or hanging around town. Some go to the library where they play video games. There's a lot of hanging out.
But they're not open.
Annie Brown is the head of the PTA for one of Noble's elementary schools. She and her husband Will have 2 kids. On Fridays, she volunteers to take care of children whose parents have to work.
There's so many kids that are at home alone, that are under, high school age and under, and, we've got 13-year-olds watching their 5- and 4-year-old little siblings because they're stuck at home.
Annie's friend Nisha works long hours 5 days a week as a nurse. She has a child with an auditory disorder. The shorter school week means that he's not getting the personalized attention he needs.
You've got, kids like mine that do have kind of special needs that you have to throw that in on it too, and it makes it really difficult to try to maneuver all that and make sure that they're going to be successful.
Your kids are fairly young.
Yes.
5 and 8, 5 and 7. If the entire time your kids are in school, they're on a 4-day school week, do you worry about what that means for their ability to achieve what students do elsewhere?
Yes. Absolutely. I mean, how much can you really squeeze into 4 days a week? And what are these colleges going to think?
They won't have as many extracurriculars to look good for some of those colleges because they won't have those same opportunities.
Our high school kids, if this was a permanent thing, this would be a huge disservice for them.
I'm just hoping that you know, it can only get better because we're at the bottom. It can't get much worse.
The truth is that it can get worse, and it's probably going to. Schools in Noble have already been told to brace for more budget cuts next year.
There's no end in sight, and it's only working because people are making it work.